Characters of cloud computing. What else we learned? We learned the cloud history also, right? Cloud history, how it evolves, how it started, and we seen cloud examples, right? So what else we learned? Cloud examples, cloud history. Let me go through the slides now. Additional data center, what is cloud, advanced cloud services, and yeah, we saw the cloud certificates, right? Which we need to do. Okay, and cloud computing deployment model with examples. Actually, we saw characteristics, we saw advantages, problem solving, types of cloud computing, cloud history. We see the cloud, some cloud facts also we saw, right? Cloud facts like which is top among all other clouds. Actually, AWS is top, next is Azure. So what is the market actually it captures, actually use cases, right? So till now we covered like so many things, right? Almost 14 topics we have covered, right? If you are able to recall all these topics. So these are the general topics which we covered actually, but today also it's kind of a what a prerequisite I'm telling. So what are the things required for cloud computing? So we are learning today also. That is virtualization. So I think still only 22 people are joined. So we'll wait for another 2-3 minutes and then we'll start.
Sir, can we start or we'll wait for 1 or 2 minutes?
Yeah, we will wait for another 2 minutes.
Okay.
Guys, till now, if you got any doubts or anything to ask the question, so you can ask now before starting the session. Okay, I think we can start, sir. I think.
Can you share the slides? So, good evening, everyone. So, we have covered cloud, concepts of cloud, types, characteristics. We hope you people little bit understood like about cloud. What is cloud? Cloud computing, difference cloud and cloud computing, characteristics. So, what is data center? What are the drawbacks of data center? Why we have to go for the cloud computing? What are the who are all major cloud providers? All those concepts you have already learned. Okay. So now the next concept. So once you understand the cloud computing, the next is the concept of virtualization. So can anyone tell me what is the use or what is the meaning of the virtual? Just I'll take virtual. Can anyone tell me? Or you can give us some example for this virtual or virtualization before going for the definition.
Creating virtual representation.
Hmm. Okay.
Man,
Virtual
virtualization means simulation of something. Like
good.
in cloud computing, we do not physically touching the data storage servers. We are just seeing the simulation of the hardware's functionality. That is
Yes, which
virtual.
is not real. Someone in the chat mentioned, and your answer is also correct. So, which is not real. Okay. So, I'll give an example. So, to understand this virtual concept, so just attending a conference over in a seminar hall or attending the same conference over the virtual platforms. So, can you help me to name some of the virtual platforms?
Zoom,
Zoom, very good.
Google, Google Meet,
Google, yes, correct.
Google Ma'am
Then
Team as well.
Yeah. So we have connected virtually over Teams. So now we can correlate with this concept that is virtualization, which is not real, which is an illusion, or which represents a physical hardware or physical representation of physical representation of something. It may be hardware or it may be any platforms which represents a physical, which represents the virtual representation of your physical. The definition of virtualization is it is a technology. Virtualization is a technology which can be used, or which can be used to create the virtual representation of your server, virtual representation of a storage, virtual representation of a network. So we are representing virtually, which is not real. Okay, we are doing some simulation where you cannot go and touch the real hardware, or you cannot go and use the physical hardware. It is only the illusion, or you're going to represent the hardware physically, physical hardware virtually. So this is called the virtualization, which is not real. So to understand this, as I told you, you can attend a conference over a seminar hall or in some conference room, or you can attend the same conference over the virtualization platforms such as Google Meet, Zoom, Teams. Okay, so these are the virtualization concept. So just to understand the term virtualization. So now coming for the cloud computing, this virtualization is nothing but it represents the physical hardware, which is an illusion of your physical hardware, where you're going to use virtually those physical hardwares. Okay, so now I have a two diagrams here. One is a traditional architecture and the other one is virtual architecture. So traditional architecture is mainly consisting of physical hardware. On top of that, there will be an operating system, and then an application will be running. Let us consider this operating system as Windows. Okay, so now I'm running a physical machine or a computer which is having a Windows operating system. Now I want to run some more application with the different operating system. My question is it possible to install the different operating system at the same time, or at the same time can you able to use two different operating system in the same physical hardware?
No.
Yeah. So that is what the main drawback. That is one of the drawback where we'll go for the virtual architecture. The virtual architecture is nothing but it consists of a single physical hardware. On top of that, there will be a virtualization layer. So I'll explain what is that virtualization layer. So there you can run multiple operating systems. These multiple operating systems are called guest OS. You can run Windows OS, you can run Linux OS, or you can run any Mac OS. In Linux also we will be having a different flavors like CentOS, maybe Ubuntu, or it may be SUSE. So these are the different operating system. With a single physical hardware, you can run multiple operating systems. Now, I think you hope what understood what is traditional architecture and what is virtual architecture. The virtual architecture is nothing but representation of a single physical hardware where you can use the same single hardware for the multiple operating system. Okay. So now how it is possible? Can anyone just guess? Or if you heard somewhere, how it is possible, right? One single hardware, multiple OS, how it is possible? Any idea?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so this is where our concept is. On top of this virtual hardware, on top of this architecture, I mean, your hardware will be running with a software called hypervisor, or hypervisor will help you to do the virtualization. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. Sharat, can you please move? Okay, so now you can see there is an hardware and there are a lot of guest OS. Guest OS is nothing but your operating system. There is a term called virtual machine monitor, which is also called hypervisor. Okay, or it is also called supervisor. So what it will do? It will distribute your hardware, or it is the main uh, operating. It is the main what we can call it as. It is the key term, or which is a software which helps us to distribute the hardware resources to these operating systems. Okay, that is what our virtualization or our virtual platform, which is called hypervisor, will do. There are a lot of hypervisors or virtual machine monitor where it will helps to distribute the resources. So can you ask me what is the what it will do, what physical hardware or what of the different resources it will give to the different operating system. Let us consider this Windows will be running with an application. For this, we need 2 vCPUs, 4 GB RAM. Now, there is one more operating system, which is Linux. Okay, so which requires 4 vCPUs and 8 GB RAM. So depending upon the requirement, your hypervisor will help you to divide the resources according to these requirements, according to these guest operating system requirement. So understood? In between our hardware and in between our operating system, there is a layer called virtual machine monitor, or it is also called hypervisor, or it is called a supervisor. It will supervise. Why it is called supervisor? It will supervise all the operating system, and it will distribute the resources according to the requirement to run the different application system. So now if I consider the physical hardware, where which is running only with the one particular operating system. So explain this, I'll give an example. So yesterday there is a down, there is one issue going on all over the globe. Do you know what it is?
Microsoft has been get hacked now.
Yes, exactly. So now you're running some application, are you doing some testing? So in that case, if application or operating system goes down, so what is the next option? There is a CrowdStrike issue was going on. Because of that, the Windows was down for some time, right? So if you're having only one physical hardware and you're running some important application over it, or you're developing something which is important where you cannot able to access the Windows, what is the next option? You have to go for the other operating system, right? So in that situation, is it possible right away? Is it possible to buy a hardware, buy a storage, buy a CPU, install a operating system? To install the operating system, you need a license. Is it possible within a short duration of time?
No, ma'am.
No,
Why
no.
this organization plays very important role.
Just to help understanding what issue actually
Mhm.
yesterday we had, right? So yesterday, all over the globe, whoever running the Windows operating system, right? So their operating system are not coming up, which means it is giving a blue screen. They are not able to log in into the Windows machine. So what is the reason? So there is a tool called CrowdStrike, which is a antivirus kind of a tool which they are running on their Windows machine. And because of some updates and all, so that Windows machine went into the blue screen. So because of that, so many airline companies, like so many aeroplanes, like banking sector or any other sectors, you name the number. All organization, they are not able to do their business actually. So because of that, huge losses has occurred during the Windows downtime. So what happens in an organization, people used to distribute the workload over the different operating systems like Windows, Linux, Mac OS, right? So they don't depend on the single operating system. But yes, in some cases, whoever relies on single operating system and all, so they used to get this kind of issues over the period of time. So that's why they use virtualization technique, and they create a multiple servers and they install different operating systems.
Okay. So now this is our virtualization environment. The main uh, virtualization concepts, lies in this hypervisor. Okay. So now you understood what is virtualization. So why virtualization is required? Any guesses or anything you want to explain? You already studied these concepts in the characteristics or the advantages of cloud computing. You can relate the same. So why it is required?
So with this
What are the
example,
characteristics of cloud?
you can understand, right?
Yeah.
So in the olden days, they have only one machine and they have only one operating system and one application. For whole setup, they required one server. Now there is a big same server, okay, and there is some new software called hypervisor or a virtualization, and now they have multiple OS, multiple apps here. So what could be the advantages here?
The different operating system can be run on the same server.
Correct. So different
Yeah.
OS can be run on a single server. What else?
And it will be used to manage many other processes also, na, sir, complex systems and all.
Correct. Who is this?
Krishna.
Okay, Krishna, great. So we can run multiple OS and we can install multiple applications also, right? On different OSs. So we have a different combination here where we can achieve here. Previously, we have only one combination. Now we have multiple options here or multiple versions where we can do it.
And depending upon your application, today you want Windows, tomorrow you want Linux to test some of the applications. Okay. So immediately if you are in the cloud system, so what you can do, you can decommission your Windows machine and you can provision the Linux machine based on your requirement. So once that application or that development testing completed, you can terminate. And how much ever you are used, you pay only for that, right? So that is what your why virtualization means. The main thing is cost. Okay, the cost plays very important and it's a plays very huge role, right? So the first thing is you can save the cost. Same elasticity, scalability, right? Then you can get these at your fingertips. So you need only one system to access those virtualization platforms, right? The cost effectiveness, scalability. So wherever it is required, you can increase the capacity of your memory, capacity of vCPU, storage, right? So scalability. Then it is available worldwide, right? That is called the different resources. I mean, that will be applicable in different available zones. Maybe it may be in India or it may be in different data centers all over the globe, right? So those are called like why virtualization means cost effectiveness, scalability, then elasticity, then maintenance in case of your on-premises data center. So because of all these things, the virtualization plays very important role. So now we studied why it is required. Then what are the benefits of virtualization in cloud computing? The very first thing is security. So security is a very important thing because you're running some important application or you're developing something which is you're only doing and you should not allow others to access it. From security reason, these virtualization plays a very huge role. So maybe it is a network firewall, means it will allow only, it will scan all your data, maybe incoming data or outgoing data, it will scan it, and whatever it is, and maybe some hacker try to attack or try to you know attack your systems. At that case security plays very important role. So now once you build a virtual machine in any of the cloud provider, the first thing is they will give a very importance to the security, means you have to install an antivirus on your system, and also a secured firewall which prevents the hacker to attack the system. Okay, the next one is flexible operating system. As one of you said, the flexibility, like whenever it is required, different depending upon your application, it may be banking sector or it may be your social media apps, or it may be in any of the system, as said, like it may be monitoring the different systems. So in such cases, maybe one operating system will not give all the solution. You need a Linux, you need a Windows, or you need a Mac. So based on your application need. So that's why the flexible operations and as well as a flexible operating system. Okay, and flexible operations also explains about your backup system or recovering the data. Sometimes if you lose the data in your actual system, but when you go with the cloud computing, there will be always a backup. So with that backup, anytime you can restore the data, or sometimes if the data is corrupted also, there will be a backup. For example, there will be 3 available zones. So one data center is in Mumbai, one data center is in Pune. So if one of the data is lost in one data center, still you will be having a backup in the Pune data center. So there will be different available zones based on your requirement. You can go for the different copy of the same data in the different data centers. So backup is also important role, that is flexible operations. It may be the operating system where you can choose depending upon the application, and also recovering the data when there is a lost or when there is a any corrupt happened. Okay, then coming for the economical. So economical means, see, I in the same hardware or in the same virtualization environment, if we have like some 100 vCPUs and 200 GB of RAM, so that can be distributed to the 10, for example 10 operating system. So each will be having some 10 vCPUs and 20 GB of RAM. So in the single hardware, you can run 10 different operating system. Okay. So if I consider a single hardware, so the dedicated 100 VPUs or whatever the 200 GB data will be dedicated only for one operating system and only for one particular machine. Okay. So that's why the cost wise also it saves lot of your cost, because the hardware will be divided into multiple operating system. The multiple user can able to access the same hardware multiple multiple using multiple operating system in multiple different region, or it may be the places. So that is why it is called economical. Then eliminates the risk of system failure. Since the same application in the same hardware you are running multiple operating system, so the risk of failure will be very less, because here in the backend team or in the backend, they will be continuously monitoring. If something happens, always these operating system will be installed with the security devices, such as it may be CrowdStrike, or it may be McAfee antivirus, or it may be any cloud monitoring tool. So those will be in continuous monitoring. If something happened, if something fails, so definitely that failed part will be replaced. I mean, it will be distributed to the different, or it will be distributed from the different system, so that the chance of getting lost, the chance of getting failed will be very less. So if I say the availability is, that is continuous availability will be 99.9%. There will be 0.000.1 times, or sometimes it will be very less than 1%. There is a chance of failure. Then coming for the flexible transfer of data. So here the data will be transferred. I mean, as I said, the different available zones, the different regions, you can retrieve anytime. If something happened, if something, the data will be corrupted or some hacker will be attacked. So always the security will give, the firewall will filter it and it will give a security alert. So immediately you can take the actions. So these are the very important benefits of virtualization. First one is security, which is very crucial one. Then flexible operating system, the flexible operations, economically it is, the cost is very less. Then eliminates the risk of system failure, and then the data will be captured or retrieved at any given point of time. So any doubts or any questions over here? Concept of virtualization, it may be why it is required, benefits.
No.
Yes.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So now we'll go for the virtualization architecture.
Yeah. So till now we saw what is virtualization and what are the benefits actually. So again, in virtualization architecture, there are two types. Okay, type 1 and type 2. They usually call the architecture. So first we'll see the type 2 architecture. How it looks like actually. So it is also having a same actual hardware. Actual hardware means in our first diagram we saw, right, a big machine or a big server that we call as the actual hardware, or sometimes it is called as a bare metal as well. Okay, in a technical terminologies. On top of this particular hardware, we have a host operating system, which means for this running this hardware, so they have a one operating system. On top of it, we have a hypervisor, what we call as a virtual machine monitoring. Virtual machine monitoring will be installed, or a software is installed on this operating system. After that, we can create n number of virtual machines, whatever we required. Example, one guest OS, and you can install n number of application. It could be Amazon, Flipkart, whatever. So another guest OS, you can install any other applications. So similar fashion. So what is the advantage actually? So previously we have only one hardware and only one operating system, and we are running only one application. Now just imagine here how many applications we are running on a single machine. It looks like multiple virtual machines here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But end of the day, it is running on one virtual hardware, one actual hardware actually. So why we are discussing all this thing, virtualization and all? We are learning cloud, right? Someone can ask the question. But yes, in the cloud also, the backend technology what they are using is the same. What is the virtualization? So they are also having a set of same servers. We saw in our first class, right? The picture how the servers look like, and how they are sitting one each to other in a data center, right? So whenever a user or any customer is creating one virtual machine or one computer, they are not creating or they are not utilizing whole server. They are just creating, they are using the chunk of vCPU and RAM of the actual hardware. I can give another example. Example, you are using the Gmail or you are storing the photos, Google Photos, right? And the Google is giving the 15 GB of free space for each Gmail account. Okay, do you think they are reserving 15 GB of space for you, particularly on one actual server? No, they are not reserving 115 GB for each user on a single hardware, because just imagine 130 billion and they are having almost 2 to 3 Gmail accounts. Just imagine crores of servers are required just to maintain the Google Gmail. I'm talking, they have n number of services. So the technology what they will use, they have a same set of hardware or hypervisor they will use, and they will create a small virtual machines, and each user can use the one virtual machine. I'm just giving a scenario actually, not exactly the same one. It's again a totally different thing. Okay, and what are the different engines or different softwares for hypervisor? So you can see the examples are VMware workstations or Oracle VirtualBox or Microsoft Virtual PC. So if you install these particular softwares on the actual hardware, so you will get a feasibility of creating a multiple virtual machines on a single hardware. It looks like different machines running, but end of the day, it is using the same hardware. So what are the advantages for this whole setup? So it is easy to install and configure. So whatever the virtual machines you are creating, right? So creating this virtual machine will be easy if you are using the host operating system. And this host operating system can't be modified. Okay, but guest can be do it. This you can change the operating system anytime, and you can run a wide variety of PC. Wide variety of PC means we saw in our last example, right? We can create a different operating system, or you can create a different, install a different applications like a pink color, what you are seeing. So you have a variety here. That is the keyword. What are the disadvantage? Yeah, there could be a performance degradation. How the performance degradation it could be? So example, you have created a one virtual machine today with a Windows operating system, but let's say they are the company is running with the Linux operating system, and whenever you are creating virtual machine, any command you are running or anything you are doing, right? So it should go the path like this: guest OS to hypervisor, hypervisor to operating system to hardware. So whenever you are using the CPU or RAM, so it should refer to the actual hardware. So there is a lag, or there could be a latency. I mean, it's a very small actually. I'm telling, it's not like 1 minute or 2 minute. I'm telling. So there could be a performance degradation when you are using the host operating system, and the lack of support for the real-time operating system. There could be a chances of what support actually for the operating systems. So this is what the hosted architecture or the type 2 architecture, what we call for the hypervisor. So we'll see what is type 1 now. So type 1, as I mentioned, bare metal is something the hardware, actual hardware is. Okay. And in this previous diagram, you see there is a host operating system, one OS is there, but here you are not able to see that OS. So now here we are directly communicating, this virtual machine is directly communicating to the hardware with the help of hypervisor. So which means we have eliminated the OS. what could be the advantage for this? There could be, yes, improvement of the performance, because you are eliminating one step here, operating system. So directly connecting to the hardware. So of course the performance will increase in this scenario, and support real-time OS. So it will support for the OS also. But what could be the difficult challenge here? Difficult challenge could be the installation, because here we are not having the OS. We need to manually bifurcate vCPU RAM for each virtual machine manually. So that's what. So we will give another one example. Let's think we have 100 vCPU RAM and vCPU and 200 GB RAM big server. Okay, and you are installing Amazon.com. Okay, and you are using example operating system Windows or Linux. So you are utilizing whole server for just installing one Amazon.com. It could be utilizing 100 CPU, whole resource it is utilizing. Sometime it may utilize only 10% of the resource. Example, only it is using 4 CPU and 16 GB RAM. So you are wasting whole other resource like vCPU and RAM. So so that's why they will use the virtualization technique to avoid unutilized resources for the single hardware. So if you install the hypervisor, so that what you can do, you can create a single small virtual machine. Example, on 100 vCPU and 200 GB RAM. If you are creating 2 vCPU and 4 GB RAM one machine, how many machines you can create? Like example, how many machines we can create if you are creating 2 vCPU and 4 GB RAM one machine? Like how many machines you can create? Can someone guess how many machines we can create?
So can you repeat?
So you have one hardware with 100 CPU and 200 GB RAM. Okay, and you are creating a small machine. Example, it is taking 2 CPU, 4 GB RAM, 2 CPU, 4 GB RAM, 2 CPU, 4 GB RAM. Like how many machines you can create?
50.
50, right?
Someone
Yes,
is
exactly.
asking.
50.
Yeah, exactly. So we can create a 50 machine. Just imagine, in our previous example, whole setup is utilized for one machine or one application. Now we have a 50 virtual machines we can create. Example, Amazon.com having a different features, right? So it has a what electronics section is there, grocery section is there, or payment section is there, or card section is there. So do you think whole the architecture they will create on one server? No, they will create each individual feature in a different application or different virtual machines. Example, this virtual machine VM1, they are running with only electronics items. Virtual machine 2, they are only running with the grocery items. When you are switching to electronics item, example iPhone, so it will refer to the virtual machine. If you are referring grocery items, it will refer to virtual machine 2. So example, let's say there is some disturbance in grocery item virtual machine, but still your whole Amazon.com is not going down. It is still running, because still you can access electronics item and you can buy electronics item. Yes, of course, there is a grocery item application, or a small chunk of the part of application is not working. So these are the advantages why we are using the virtualization or a hypervisor technique. Okay, so how it is related to the cloud actually? So backend, they are using the same concept called virtualization. So that's how they have categorized, or what they have a different architecture altogether. So what are they call actually? They call as a AWS region, availability zone, data center, edge location, point of presence. What are this? What is region? So they have categorized the regions based on the location or a geographical location. Example, Asia is a continent, one continent, right? Or America continent or Europe continent. So like this, they have categorized different regions. Again, in region, example, Asia, India. In Asia, we have a China, we have a India, we have a Japan. Like we have multiple regions also in a specific continent. Example, we have a Mumbai location, right? Mumbai or Hyderabad. So for each location, what we call as a region, in typical cloud terminology, what we call. And again, what in region it has, example, I'm just showing you here. This is a global picture actually. This is a one continent. Okay, this is another continent, this is another continent, this is another continent. So whatever the blue dots you are seeing, right? So blue dots all are regions. Example, here in India it is Mumbai and it is Hyderabad. Example, if you are seeing here Asia Pacific, this is the Asia. In Asia, in India, they have a Mumbai one location, and they have a another location, Asia Pacific, there is another location. It would be somewhere come here actually. There is another Singapore, Sydney. So Singapore will come somewhere around here actually, Singapore and Sydney. And they have a Tokyo. Tokyo also comes somewhere here actually. Small country we're saying, right? Japan. So like this, they have categorized as a regions here. And they have codes actually. What is the code? AP. AP means Asia Pacific. South means south part of the Asia. South part of the Asia. This AP South. And one is a Mumbai one. So similar fashion example, AP South 1, AP Southeast. So this is South and East is this one. So Southeast this one, AP Southeast 1, which means Singapore. Example Southeast 2, which is Sydney, and AP Northeast 1. So something, so similar fashion, they have categorized the regions here. And what are next? What is next is we saw what is data center, right? In data center, there is a set of servers or a combination of thousands of servers sitting next to each other and forming a one data center. So we saw only one building in our first picture. So you are seeing here combination of multiple building. All together we are calling as a data center. What data center contain? It contains a thousands of servers sitting next to each other with the wires, cooling, power, everything. And the combination of like whole data center 1, 2, 3, like 2, 3 or 4 data center, what we call as a availability zone. Example, one example, I think I missed here, ONE, one or more data center. Okay, it could be only one data center or it could be a similar 1, 2, 3 data center. Whole combination of data center, we call it as a availability zone. Why the availability zones are designed? Availability zones are designed for the fault tolerance. What is fault tolerance? Just now I have given the example. Let's say Amazon.com having a grocery application and the electronics application. If one application or one chunk of the application goes down, still your application is up and running. Why it is? Because that application is distributed across different data center. We just discussed about only one server actually. It's not the example actually. In a real time scenario, your application could be running in multiple data center, not different server and telling different data center itself. So that's where if the whole data center or a whole building went down or crashed or something happened, but still your application is up and running because your application is running in another data center, similar fashion. So these all combination, what we call as a availability zone. What is availability zone? Again, they have combination of data center and it has a CCTV camera you are seeing, right? So they have a different building, 1, 2, 3 building, which means 3 data center. Combination of these 3 is availability zone.
And
Again,
also, Sharath, here it's like customers' requirement. So where they want to host their virtual machine, either it is
correct.
Singapore region or it is US South or it is AP South, it's all customer choice because the customers are worldwide, not only in India. So which is near data center, right? Based
Yes.
on that, they will select the availability zone. If they want like high availability, the first copy will be stored in one data center and the secondary copy will be stored in different data center for the security or the data retrieval. It's customer choice based on their availability or requirement.
Yes. So again, the combination of this availability zones, right? We just told Mumbai, right? Mumbai and Hyderabad, example, 2 availability zones. Sorry, in Mumbai, there could be a different buildings like this, set of buildings all together sitting in Mumbai, different area. Okay, all this combination of availability zone, we call it as a region. Okay, AWS region, AP South 1A is one of the region. Sorry, availability zone. 1A is a availability zone. 1B is another availability zone. 1C is another availability zone. So combination of 1, 2, 3 is called as a region. So you can see here, each region is made up of 2 or more availability zones, which means a combination of availability zone is called as a region. 2 or more AZ or availability zone we call as a region. So just they have given AWS having 25 regions across worldwide. Yes, the numbers keep on increasing every day. Not every day, I mean, at least quarter or half yearly, they increase the regions. So now the numbers is increased. So I took a old data. So now what are the different services actually? So we see on premises, right? Or a traditional approach where they have firewalls, they have servers, they have a cooling system, all those things, right? So similar fashion for a security, they have a set of services like firewall or administrators or ACL, access control list. Okay, for networking, they have routers or network pipes. So they have a cables across the world actually, in the sea or in the road. They have a connections. They have a switches. Okay, and they have a servers or a buildings like on-premises server, or they have a databases. Storage is what we call RDBMS. Someone may know this one, relational database service. We'll see what is a relational database service. So all these things. So same names they have changed it now in the cloud. The cloud for replacement of firewall, they call it as a security group. For ACL, they call it as a network ACL. For administrator, they call it as a IAM. Similar fashion for networking also, they have a different names. For a servers, they have a different name. For a database, again, they have a different name like EBS, Elastic Block Storage Volume, EFS, Elastic File Storage, Simple Storage Service, Relational Database Service, same way. So it's only the terminologies and the user interface. So whole thing, what we need to understand is the architecture. What is architecture? How this security will work actually. What this service typically do. What this service will typically do. How it will help for another service. How it will help for our application. What is the networking? How the networking will work. What is a load balancer? How it will take the traffic and how it will distribute. And what is a server? How it will work actually, what are the things we can do in server. So this is the architecture what we need to understand in our future classes. So now coming to the cloud comparison. So as we discussed, so it's not only one cloud, there are a number of clouds, but majorly it's AWS, Azure and GCP. AWS is from Amazon, Azure is from Microsoft, and Google Cloud is from Google. Okay, so just now we discussed, right, what are the different services we just discussed. So similar fashion in all three clouds, they have a same service altogether. They are running with this service only. What are the solution, what we call cloud computing. In cloud computing, Amazon, what we call in Amazon, we call it as a EC2. In Azure, we call it as a virtual machine. In Google, we call it as a compute engine. That's it. So only the difference will be the user interface. They could be
Terminologies will be different, but concept is same everywhere.
Concept will be same. Like example, that could be in orange color. Like if you see Amazon, all in orange color. Azure will be in like blue color. Google
It's
will be in some
cloud console will be like most of the uh, resources will be pointing in orange color, right, Sharat?
yes. So they have their own what standards or their identities, what they have made it, right? So if you see, we just seen in our last example, we see only 25 region, right? So in 25 region, they have 80 availability zone in Amazon, whereas in Azure they have a 60 availability zones, and there are 140 countries across the world. They have spreaded Azure. A similar fashion in Google also, 73 availability zone in 24 regions. They have a different services like cloud computing. They have a database service. Database service means storing the data, your relational data, RDS, what we call in AWS. In Azure, they have a Cosmo DB. In Google Cloud, they have a big data, big table. A similar fashion for storage, they have a different names in Azure, AWS, Azure, and GCP. And there are different services. You might know it or might not know it. Actually, there are few new services are there. Example, security you might know, right? We use the firewall or antivirus in our laptops, right? Similar fashion in cloud, they have a different services, AWS security app, security center, all those things. So we'll learn actually based on your interest, which cloud you want to learn. AWS. Initially, we will focus more on AWS and Azure. Later on, we'll focus on Azure, GCP, because in most of the corporate, the workloads are distributed in AWS or in Azure. So we will leave up to you guys which one you want to choose, and based on your selection, we will segregate the classes for AWS and Azure, and we will start the session. Okay. So there is some links which I have provided here. I will share this whole PPT to you guys. You can go through this PPT, all the concepts, and there are the links where you can go through it. What is a different actually cloud comparison in terms of a cost, in terms of a service, in terms of learning, or in terms of a job opportunity. Everything they have given a links here. You can go through it. Okay. So that's all for the today's session. So this is the theory session today. So we will discuss the practical section as well today. We will see how typically a virtual machine we will create, and how much it may take time for creating one virtual machine. Okay, so these days we are just talking about virtual machine, cloud, how it is, how it looks like. Okay, so this is a typically one of the cloud, okay, which you are seeing. I will just log out and once again re-log in. Okay. So I'm just showing one of the console, that is AWS today. So in next class we will see Azure also. So typically you are just going like www.amazon.com. If you see www.amazon.com. So as simple as URL it is, like how you are using the Flipkart or Amazon.com, right? Similar fashion for cloud, they have a different URL.
For Azure, it is portal.azure.com or console.cloud.com. The different cloud, either they will give portal or it may be console.
Yes. So I'm just logging in my username and password. I don't want to disclose it, so don't ask.
We will also help you to create one account for all of you.
Yes,
there
yes.
will be a test account will be created. There will be limited resources. You can do all these exercises. We will help for that as well.
Yes, we will do a different exercises in our upcoming class. It will be very interesting and very good to learn actually. So theory could be a boring or a you will become lazy, but you start doing practicals, you will learn a number of things simultaneously. So any cloud, it's also look a similar fashion, how we have a shopping cart, right? So there are different options. If you are selected at the left top or right top, right, they have a different options here. We just saw, right, they have a different services, like example database service or the security service, right? They have a storage service. If you click on that particular, again there are n number of storages. If you click on security, n number of security services which you are able to see. Okay, and apart from this, you'll able to see the regions here. We just discussed, right, what is region having like segregated with different continent, like Asia Pacific one continent, US East one continent, okay, and Canada one continent, Europe or South America, like this. Again in region they have a different availability zone, but it is not able to see here, because while creating a resource you need to select that availability zone. There is, you can't having access for each server or each availability zone. They have a access for major of the thing, only you can select the region. So they will take care where to create this server. They can create this EC2 instance or server or a storage in Hyderabad location or in Mumbai location, their choice. Your choice is to select the region, which region you want to select, okay, based on your requirement. And what else is there? There is a name. Okay, I have given AWS Labs. Okay, my name, and this is the ID which it is created, unique ID for each account holder. Okay, I have a billing session here. How much cost I am incurring? I have account details. What are the details I have given while creating the account, right? So all these things are there, and we have a search button. So we search, right? So we go through each service and we are searching here. Instead of that, if you know what service you want to go, you can directly search it here. So it will auto-populate here all the services which you are searching. Like example, I'm searching Elastic. Okay, if you type Elastic, there are different services: Elastic Transport, Elastic Beanstalk, Container Service, like this. Okay. So today we are just will show how to create a EC2 instance. What is EC2 instance? It is a server. So EC2 means Elastic Cloud Computing.
Virtual machine. Yeah. We explain with the virtual machine term, no? The same virtual machine term in AWS, it is called EC2.
So currently I'm in Mumbai location. So I went for EC2 instance and I'm creating one EC2 instance. So we'll see the Windows machine today, because Windows is user friendly, because you can able to see the pictures and all, right? In Linux you can't see, it is a total blank screen. So we'll create a Windows machine today. Okay. So typically in an organization, you need to give the names for each machine, because you are creating thousands of machine. Which one you are creating, you need to mention the names here. So today we'll see the Windows. I'll just select the Windows machine. So if you see, I am using Windows machine here under the free tier. So Amazon is giving you for testing or practicing or learning purpose. They have a free option also, where you can go ahead and utilize the free services. So for learning purpose, we are using the free service Windows machine. So example, if you want to purchase one Windows operating system, it is like thousands of rupees, right? So here there is no cost here. You can directly go ahead and use it. If you see here, this is a configuration. It will tell for storage. Example, if you want to buy a laptop, you are taking a storage of 1 TB or 500 GB, but I am using just a 30 GB. If you see 30 GB. So with the 30 GB also, you can create a small virtual machine. See, that's all. My virtual machine is ready now. So for this simple setup, it will take a month together to create one virtual machine. But in the fly, we have just created one virtual machine. Okay, we will see how to access this virtual machine as well. We'll show the windows. See, once you create a virtual machine or a server, you'll able to see all the information or all the details actually, whatever you have just selected actually, what IP it got assigned, what is the name of the server, okay, what is the size actually. This tells as a size actually. What is the security you have used. We just talk about security, right? We have a securities, we have a networks, we have a storage, right? There are n number of things actually. So actually we should not share the password. Yes, I will delete this server immediately, but you should not expose these passwords and all whenever you have created or in organization or anytime actually. You should not share the passwords. And what I'm doing is now I'm just connecting to that server actually, which we created. Boom, now we have a virtual machine ready in front of us actually. Boom, right, guys, it is amazing, right? We just selected few configuration and we just created, and our virtual machine is ready now. If you see, I have logged in another virtual machine in my computer. There is another machine which is running. If you're able to see, the name is here. We see in region, right? AP-South-1. This is a Mumbai location, and it is a compute, and it is a Amazon virtual machine.
Sharan, do
And
you have any Linux operating system created?
yes, yes, yes. I will show you. I will show just a minute. So if you see the all the configuration here, it is showing, okay, what is the machine, what is the ID, what is IP it assigned, what is the size, in which availability zone it is created, okay, all those things. And we have did another one also, right? We have selected the storage. How much we have selected? Can somebody try how much storage we have?
30,
30, right?
30 GB.
Yes. So if you see, out of 30 GB, almost 40 GB, 14 GB is used for installing the operating system, Windows operating.
OS.
Rest is free. Yes, there is an option. You can go ahead and select another storages. So where you can increase your machine size. So similar fashion, any developer or example, I will give another use case. So let's say you all guys are fond of playing PUBG, all other gamings, right? So example, your mobile or your laptop is not withstanding that much configuration, all right? So what you can do, you can select the proper big machine, whichever having the good graphics card, good vCPU, good storage, everything, and you can install the application, that PUBG or whatever game, and you start playing it. There is no buffering or there is no lag actually. You can have actually. So based on your requirement, you can select the configuration and you can create the virtual machine. That's how it is. So this is Windows machine. We'll show you the Linux machine as well now. So I have already created in another region apart from Mumbai. So I have created another server in Ohio region. So we'll go to the Ohio region and we'll check that servers. So if you see here, already I have created two set of machines. One is Windows and one is Linux machine, which are in stop state, which means I have shut down it actually. I have, because I'm not using it, right? So I have shut down it. So now I will just start the machine. It will take 1 or 2 minutes to start it, and then we'll access the server. So example, we just discussed, right, virtualization. So there are two servers. Maybe these two machines are running on a single hardware, and they have a two different operating system and two machines which are running on a single hardware, right? That's how they have the technology behind this cloud also. So we are not bothered about any server here. We are not seeing any servers, anything, right? It's all the user interface, which means we are just seeing the configuration, whatever we required. We are seeing the regions, but we are not going actually to the region. We are all doing virtually, right? So as simple as that, you can access this portal anytime, 24/7. So we just discuss all the examples, characteristics, everything, right? So all things you can compare all the things to this cloud actually. So now it is running. So we'll wait some more time because it will take some time. Actually, if you see, it is running, but still it is initializing. Maybe once you switch on your laptop, it is sometimes taking time, right? So because it will boot up actually at the back end. Okay, we'll try to connect now. Boom, guys. Now we have Linux machine also in handy. If you see here, this is a Linux machine. So where you don't have any folders, anything, it's just only black screen where you need to work actually. If you see, this is my machine. Just imagine we have created two servers. Okay, one server which is running in Ohio region. So I have not went to US, but still I'm able to create a virtual machine. And I have created another Windows machine, which I'm sitting here. I'm creating Windows machine in India location. See the advantage or the what what else you can do actually. You can do n number of extend things sitting in your home or in your, with just internet connection and with a laptop. So you can create any servers anywhere in the world and you can do n number of stuffs. Example, tomorrow you want to give you have created one gaming application and you want to give a you want to sell that application in a US. So go ahead and create a server in US location. Example, you have created some application in India because your customers are sitting in India. So go ahead and create a server and host in a India location and give the you can sell your product. So that's just one example. There could be a number of example based on the your use case. You can create a servers across the world. So that's how it is. So we have not discussed how we selected, what are the things are there. So we'll learn each individual configuration or things in our future class. Any doubts, guys, till now?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
So we will share this PPT. Okay. So by coming with next class, please go through all the whatever we have covered. If possible, if you are not understanding, please drop a question in the WhatsApp chat or you can call also. Uh, Once we start technical aspects, so we start using the terminologies instead of explaining all each terminologies, right? So let's say if we just talk about scalability, you need to understand what is scalability. If you just talk about elasticity, if you talk about EC2, we'll discuss what is EC2. So eventually we start minimizing the all the explanation. We start utilizing the using the keywords instead of whole concept, right? So that you can enhance or advance your learning skills and where we can cover multiple things at a time. Okay. So my humble request is by coming next class, please go through all the PPTs and try to understand all each individual topics. If you have any question, ask the questions. And we will do a polling actually, whoever wants to learn AWS and whoever wants to Azure. So based on your interest, we will categorize the classes. Both cloud, again, both cloud is easy and both cloud is, learning is easy and job opportunity also similar fashion. It's up to you. It's better to understand multiple cloud, but as of now, we just started cloud like baby steps. So once we started exploring more things, we will learn multiple cloud as well. Okay, thank you guys. Arvind, are you there? Still in the call? Arvind? Okay, thank you guys. I think if there is no doubts or anything to discuss, then we will drop. Okay. But please, guys, tell your all friends to join the session early, like 10 minutes early at least, so that we can cover more things. And please don't miss the classes. I am able to see the number of attendance is very less today. These classes are theory or prerequisite class, I can say. It could be a boring for you guys, but going forward, if you start using the practical session, it will be a very interesting session, and you can do a number of things there. Okay, so that you can learn quickly, and we can complete this whole course. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.